Hi everyone, my name is Dan Odhiambo ADINO from the University of Nairobi, Kenya. I'm going to make a presentation on the role of benefit sharing in the implementation of large irrigation dam projects in Kenya. This presentation is based on the findings of a study entitled Integrating Benefit Sharing with Compensation as Poverty Risk Reduction Strategy for Persons Displaced by Large Dams. The focus is on Thiba Dam Irrigation Development Project in Kenya. The key highlights of this study is the level of stakeholder engagements in the negotiations and implementation of compensation and benefit sharing. The methodology, the cumulative methods of data collection, including semi-structured interviews, participant observations, key informant interviews, focus group discussions, document review, and transect work were applied in the study. Summary of findings: the existence of legal framework for benefit sharing in Kenya, proper identification of project affected persons and their meaningful engagement on compensation and benefit sharing arrangement contributes to successful project implementation and sustainable development. The project background. The government of Kenya identified areas of expansion to boost supply of water for irrigation and increase cropping intensity in the original Mwea irrigation scheme area for higher rice production. The project consists of 8,860 hectares of irrigation area. So the proposed dam covers approximately 200 hectares of land at a height of approximately 32 meters. So that means that the irrigation command area, the area that will be brought under irrigation with the dam, using the dam water, will be 8,860 hectares. But the dam reservoir area, the area that will be inundated, is 200 hectares of land. That means PAPs will have to give that amount of lands for the dam reservoir to be in place. And the dam height is 32 meters. The legal framework for benefit sharing in Kenya. So Kenya only began the initiatives towards enacting benefit sharing legislations after commercially viable oil was discovered in Turkana Basin. That is in the year 2012. So benefit sharing is defined in that Natural Resource Benefit Sharing Act 2018, recently enacted in Kenya. And the benefit sharing is defined as sharing of benefits which arise from the utilization of natural resources in a fair and adequate manner. So public participation, which is the key cornerstone of this study. So public participation is the process of involving members of the local communities at various levels through consultation, negotiation, information sharing, and gathering, and shared decision making, and transfer of decision making. So benefits of participatory approach to benefit sharing. Well, the advantage of engaging members, especially the PAPs, in a participatory approach when discussing and making decisions on benefit sharing. It promotes procedural and distributional justice through the inclusion of stakeholders and access to information, and facilitates consent. It also ensures that population has secure and continuous access to the natural resources, ecosystem, and other services required to maintain a living. So the stakeholder typology, the stakeholder engagement typology are presented below. This is adopted from BAS and colleagues, and it outlines as follows. So participants can either listen only, for example, receiving information from a government or PR campaign agency. The other alternative is participant license and only give information through public inquiries, media activities. Participants are consulted, for example, through the discussions in working groups and meetings. The other alternative, participation in analysis and agenda setting, for example, through multi-stakeholder groups and roundtable discussions. Participation in reaching consensus on the main strategy elements, for example, through national dialogue. Then finally, participants are involved in decision making on the strategy or its components. Data collection. So purposive sampling was used to select 120 respondents from the PAPs drawn among the project affected persons. The sample included two categories of project affected persons. One, the first category comprised of PAPs who were affected partially by the reservoir and did not relocate as they still remained with part of their original parcels. Then the second category comprised of PAPs who were resettled into resettlement sites that were provided by the government. Research findings. In 110 interviews, equivalent of 92% of the participants, they reported that the government conducted proper surveys to identify and bring on board all the project affected families. To collect PAPS data, a census survey was carried out between 13th June 2019 and 20th June 2009 for Kabare and Baragwi locations of the dam area. In 115 interviews, 96% of participants confirmed that each and every PAP was consulted and their views were incorporated into the project execution. Then in 117, that is 98% of the respondents, the participant confirmed that public participation was conducted in a language that they understand. In 112, that is 93% of the interview, the participant reported that the participant confirmed that public participation was conducted in a language they understand. And in 112, that is 93% of the interview, the participant reported that the engagement meeting enabled the PAPs to present their views regarding the project to the government. The key issues, the major issues raised by the PAPs was that they wanted to share the benefit of irrigation water and to be resettled within the Kirinyaga County, preferably within the command area. And in 120, that is 100% of the interviews, the participant confirmed that the PAPs clearly indicated their resettlement preferences in the census survey, for example, land for land or cash for land. So compensation preferences are presented as follows. The PAPs that opted for land were 331. The PAPs that opted for cash for land, 285. The total acreage for land is 567.21 acres, and with a total PAP household of 616. So quickly to note here that these PAPs that chose cash for land were not included in the benefit sharing arrangement because they resettled on their own. So benefit sharing for PAPs resettled at ADINO. So ADINO was the first resettlement site. So to actualize requirement for benefit sharing arrangement, the government designed and implemented irrigation water supply system for the PAPs who are resettled at two different resettlement sites. The first one being this site by name Hitindomba. So the PAPs settled here were also given extra land to boost their agricultural production. An acre of land taken at the reservoir area was exchanged for 1.5 acres at the resettlement site. So it means a PAP that had 1 acre in the reservoir area was given an extra half an acre as part of the process of boosting their agricultural production. So in 56, that is 47% interviews at the resettlement site, the participants confirmed that they were having access to irrigation water. They had planted various crops ranging from bananas, French beans, among others. The benefit sharing for Thiba Dam had become a reality to these PAPs who were settled at this site. So the second site was at a site called Gadigiriri resettlement site. So like the Hitindomba, the first site, an acre of land taken at the reservoir area was exchanged for 1.5 acres at the resettlement site. So field observation revealed that irrigation systems has been designed, but water is yet to flow through the system. Why is water yet to flow through the system? Because the dam is still under construction, and these pumps in this resettlement area will have to wait for the dam to be completed so that the dam to get filled so that water can start flowing downstream the command area. That is when they shall start using water. But the designing of irrigation system for them is underway. This is a different scenario from the PAPs that were settled at the first resettlement site, because then they were not within the command area, and the government had to provide them with a completely different system of irrigation that is not based on the water from the dam, that the anticipated water from the dam. The government constructed a well in a nearby river for them, and they're already having water, and the water is already flowing in their farms, and they are doing irrigation. So in 42, that is 35% interviews with the PAPs in this second site confirmed that they were happy with the benefit sharing arrangement for the project, which will allow them to use the irrigation water once the construction of the dam is complete. So unlike Hitindomba, whose intake has been constructed in a different river, the PAPs here will wait for the dam construction to be completed before they can irrigate their farms. Discussion. So one of the outcomes of this study is an acknowledgement by majority of the participants that proper benefit sharing mechanisms has the potential of cushioning them from the risk of pauperization. So the sharing of project benefit is today considered by a number of countries as an alternative financial instrument to secure the resources to be invested in reconstruction post-displacement. So the PAPs were given two options for compensation, which included land for land and cash for land options. So a section of PAP who chose land for land were settled within the command area. So this was made possible due to the availability of public land within the command area. The PAPs who are settled here will share the project benefits as they shall be entitled to irrigation water once the dam is complete. The challenges. There is no legislation which compels the government of Kenya to provide land to the PAPs resettled within the command area. Similarly, Sunny 2008 posits that enabling people displaced by dam projects to get land in the irrigation area is a noble practice, but is currently only applied selectively in some parts of the world. There is no legislation to guide public participation processes in Kenya. Recommendations: have legislation on benefit sharing for people displaced by large infrastructure projects in Kenya. Put in place the legal framework for stakeholder consultation and consensus building between project components and the landowners. And finally, enact legislation to provide for land readjustment downstream or irrigation command areas to enable persons displaced by irrigation dams to share the benefits of the dam. Thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation. Let's continue this conversation